Hey everybody, welcome back to Empowering Cloud. Excited for this one. We've just off the back of Ignite and suddenly BYOD was a bit more in fashion with various options from Microsoft. So I've jumped on with Graham from Neat and we're going to talk about the pros and cons of BYOD and where you step up to MTR, maybe all in one, maybe full rooms. Graham, for the two people that don't know who you are by now, can you just introduce yourself?
Hi, Tom. Graham Walsh, working here at Neat as our product specialist in our Global Alliance team, focusing all on our Microsoft devices.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Graham. And let's start off with defining BYOD because there's not even really an agreed definition. And when you have conversations with the customers, you can be at cross purposes sometimes as to what they mean by BYOD. So from an industry point of view, Graham, how do we define BYOD?
I think, as I would define it, you've got a room, which is a good example here behind my shoulder. You've got a camera system or an audio bar, speaker bar, video bar, call it what you want. That is plugged into power. And then you have on the table your HDMI cable and probably maybe a USB cable. Or it might be connected to a dock. So you've got a single USB-C cable now, which is a flavor, obviously, to the room. Some people like to add things like AV extension equipment to it as well. So it'll provide charge to your laptop. So when you plug in and present, you can also do charging to your laptop, which is nice in those essence. One thing I've heard, I've got one here, USB-C cable, very simple. Can't get it wrong. It only goes in one way. I mean, I've heard stories where people are trying to plug in HDMI cables into USB ports. I think that's one study that Microsoft did at one point to realize bring your own disaster, which is
the laptop damage it causes actually balances out some of the room costs.
Exactly. However, don't think I've ever made that mistake. Anyway, but that's the whole premise is that you walk in and you use the room's equipment rather than huddling around 3, 4, 5, 6 people around your laptop with built-in mic and speakers, which isn't always the best sometimes. You don't have dedicated hardware in the room. So bring your own device was an alternative to, let's call it that laptop sharing or handling around a single device. So you use the big screen, use the mic, camera and speakers or the speaker puck that you have on the table, etc. as well. That's another popular option. And that's your bring your own device room.
Yeah. And in IT, we use bring your own device in two ways. So this is where the conversation gets confusing sometimes. Some people say bring your own device when they mean bring your own mobile and we'll add your corporate account to the mobile or even bring your own laptop and we'll let you use it. In this case, you're bringing a laptop to the room, whether it's your corporate laptop or an external guest or a personal laptop. And I guess that's one of the conversations is nobody knows. Anything USB-C can get plugged in, but it's bring your own compute really, isn't it?
Bring your own meeting is another example. BYOM, bring your own meeting because you've got the meeting platform on your laptop and you're bringing that to your shared device that may be in the room. Plug it in, and then, the key to that is the organizer or whoever's in the room needs to give up their laptop and then share their screen. Usually, by default, it will take over the full screen, unless you do Windows key and P and project like a second screen, and then put your meeting on the second screen. It's been the default. But again, not all users are that experienced in doing that, and then you're going to get your WhatsApp popping up.
I would say most users are not that. So most users are going to plug in, and their Outlook will still be open because they're running into the meeting and they're showing their email. It's a bit messy, isn't it, typically, because they're typically duplicating, not extending. And even if they extend, they don't really understand the concept of how do I get my mouse or my meeting over to that screen? Is it left? Is it right? Is it up?
Jump around. Where is it?
Yeah. And this is where I guess let's quickly touch on some of the pros and then we'll get into some of the challenges. So I guess from a pro's point of view, you're potentially getting a more aggressive cost point because you're buying a less intense compute device in the room and you can bring it and plug in any combination of meetings in theory. I guess those are the major pros. Is there anything else?
I think if we look at the stats, was this in the latest one of the reports Microsoft may have done? It's been around for a long time, this sort of stat. Maybe sub 10%, maybe 8% of rooms have got video equipment or video enabled rooms. So there's a lot of rooms that might just have a screen and no speaker bar. And that's what people have been going in, plugging in, sharing your PowerPoint or your Excel in the room. And that's just a collaboration meeting, should we say. You're getting together and sharing on a big screen. But to come in and do a video meeting, that's where, people have, quick and easy to put in a video bar, plug it in, you've got power, that's it. And you've got to obviously get that USB cable down and up the floor maybe, or you just got it slung across the table. And the thing there is, as you mentioned, it's cost effective, low price usually to put in e-speaker bar, whether it's certified or not. But it's compatible. It could be one word. It works on your laptop when you're, Windows or Mac. Plug it in, and there's nothing to manage because you got it there. It's probably not connected to the network as well, so there's no sort of potential security risk. But however, if a new update comes in, maybe they improve the camera technology.
I was going to say, that's one of the cons, isn't it? There technically is something to manage. Most people don't manage it, do they? Which is that they should be firmware patching. And those nearly all devices now ship as early as they can ship and then get firmware updates in field. So if you're running the release firmware on those bars, you're definitely not getting the best experience.
Who has the client software to maybe manage that device and push an update to it? How do you do that across, okay, if you're in the office, fine, you've got 10 rooms, but multiply that by 10 locations in the UK and then 100 locations across the world. Who's the sole owner trying to manage these remote devices then?
Yeah, who even knows if they're still there? Who knows if they're broken? Who knows if they're powered on? There's zero visibility to IT. It's a hope it works because it worked when it was installed, but is anybody checking on those devices? It's very difficult.
And does someone report a problem because they just end up to the default, let's huddle around the laptop. That's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
However, there are some manufacturers that obviously will connect these devices to the network, whether it's Ethernet or Wi-Fi. Then they could use a cloud platform to help manage those devices then centrally, which that's the pro side. If you obviously pay a few more dollars, you could get one that is network connected, and then you have that centralized management for that.
So let's talk through what Microsoft are doing with BYOD, because previously BYOD was a full don't do it from Microsoft, but now they seem to be softening on that and having some management options. So what have they talked about at Ignite?
They announced this whole new BYOD strategy for the devices that are in the room. So what will happen is when I bring my laptop into a shared space, and I think it was if 2 or more people do the same to this device ID, then it'll pop it up into the room, Teams Room Pro portal. You'll be able to obviously assign a room, a resource account, and if you give it the Teams shared device license, and then the user, when they do connect it with their Teams client and do that call, it will actually, I like to call it, pop out the stage. So just a video window to that second screen. So it will also actually do it to bring out that second window. So you still got your chat and all your team messaging on your display of your laptop or your notebook, but just a video gallery will then be on that BYOD screen.
Yeah, so it slickens up that plug-in experience. So it's learning that they're a BYOD room by virtue of more than one person plugged into that USB device. And if you flip it into that mode, then when they USB in, it'll recognize, okay, automatically put the Teams stage on the second screen.
You might be able to remind me, I can't remember actually, what licensing does that require? Was that just
a
Teams license or was it premium?
The lines are blurry on that, I think, is the answer. So definitely for the room reporting in the Pro portal, if you want to get full kind of room management and booking, then it's the standard shared device license. I don't think you require premium on the user side for that room's improved experience, but it's a good question. We should check on that.
That's an important point. Obviously, what licensing you have. And again, if you need access to the Teams Room Pro portal, you still need to have within one Pro portal.
One Pro portal license to unlock it, yeah.
Absolute, was it $40 a month license you need to have for that so you can log in to the portal and see that experience.
So that's BYOD in a nutshell. And Microsoft are pushing for customers to say, look, BYOD, fine, there's a use case, but it's fussy. People walk into the meeting, they have to set up, they lose minutes on their meeting. It's not optimal from a firmware point of view. It's not optimal from a management point of view. You should step up to MTR. And obviously they would. When we step up to MTR, you've obviously got component size solutions. So potentially you could reverse engineer a compute into an existing BYOD. But the conversation I'm having with a few customers is stepping up to all-in-one as the next logical step on that journey, because in terms of rollout and deployment, there's no racking and stacking and wall surveys and all that kind of stuff that can just roll in. Now, obviously, right, on the Neat side, you've been doing those kind of rolling options for a while. Is that what you're seeing too, Graham?
Yeah, so people are not sure what to do with office space is a key thing at the moment. Are they keeping the existing size lease? Are they downsizing, moving, putting on their sort of getting everyone back to the office strategy? Yeah. So one thing is, as you say, is the all-in-one solution. So being able to make any space Teams enabled very quickly, that's what an all-in-one device will do on a trolley. And again, you can build any screen and bar on a trolley as well. That's another option. If you've got your preferred, maybe touch screen at a 85 inch, whatever it might be, you could do that as well. But that's difficult to get through elevators. But yeah, so look, and that's why we went smaller at Neat on the new Neat Board 50, which got certified at Ignite as well, was because that flexible work, you've been able to move it around easily into different workspaces or bring it into a room. So you've already got your maybe your BYOD room or screen, but then bring in a native Microsoft Teams whiteboard and start using that into the meeting as well. But obviously then you could use that for the better Teams experience if you wanted.
Yeah. So if you've got your BYOD screen, you could bring a neat bar in, re-rack. You'd need Ethernet at that point. Do they run Wi-Fi or is it always
Do indeed, but obviously recommended to run on Ethernet.
Yeah, so ideally Ethernet, and then you bring that you've got audio, video all in one bar, so you can reuse the screen. But if you're stepping up, then you could go to that all-in-one scenario and either re-rack because obviously you can best them out those on the wall, or you can bring the trolley or some combination of the two.
Indeed, yeah.
Increasingly a big cost of MTR. Obviously, there's the license cost, not to negate that. That's a factor. There's the hardware cost, but then there's the survey, install, rack, or hang and bang, I should say. Actually, as a proportion of the project, like just to do that, and I'm not saying it's an unfair cost, but to do that, you need to survey the room, you need to understand what's going on. All those costs add up to the point where actually, if I can cut those costs out of the project and just order 50 screens on wheels, like I know I can roll them in, particularly the 50-inch size. That's an easy size.
Because then if you're doing a permanent install on, say, traditional equipment, you may not have the runs there, to bring the cables down, the HDMI content share. And then if you're not enabled your native room for BYD mode, you've got to get a USB cable. And then it depends if you're going maybe Windows, is that USB connected to the touch panel? So that needs reaching to the floor, etc., or up the ceiling and down, etc. things. So there are a lot of considerations if you are going to permanently install a device. As you say, does it need a survey in those rooms, evaluations, can they be run? Or you just do a global order, right? We're having these devices, nothing needs to be deployed.
Yeah. And you don't have to have like you say, a hard decision on maybe even what rooms they're going to be used in. Like we're going to put 3 on this floor, and actually it turns out people are dragging them into this room for this scenario, and that's where we needed them. But we don't have to do that kind of pre-survey around usage. We can look at the usage as we use it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There was another point, actually. This is what reminded me about let's jump back a little bit, back to BYOD rooms, was another announcement, why I thought about the license for a user with Teams Premium. And it was around intelligent speakers. So if anyone remembers the Microsoft Intelligent Speaker category, it was mainly for Windows. There was A-Link, Sennheiser, and EPOS had certified devices.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure the uptake did.
Yeah, they're special hardware mic arrays. So they had additional arrays that made it easier for that speaker recognition, so the transcripts know who you are in the room.
So what they've now done is actually bringing us to BYD rooms. So something like, I believe it's the Jabra HANA Class 50 bar.
Yep.
That will now have intelligent speaker built in, but the client connected with that should be doing that. And I think that's where the Teams Premium license would be required to bring that all together.
That makes sense.
So that is another benefit. You do get a bit more bang for your buck out of your BYD room, but then you need to license the user. Yeah. So the question is, do I license the room as a shared device license, give people Teams Premium, or do I just put a room license in there with a full room system?
Yeah, that makes sense. And if I go down the MTR route, one of the things people say about BYOD is, but we occasionally do XYZ meeting platform. And yes, you've got guest join for Zoom and WebEx, but we're using something else, or we could use something else. That ability to USB in, do you lose that when you go for the all-in-one or the MTR bar?
No. So again, that's one thing we factored in. For example, at Neat is BYOD mode built into the devices. It wasn't there day one because Kent didn't believe in it. You want to keep everything neat and simple.
Yeah.
But we enabled it. It's up for update. So on our bars, for example, USB and HDMI, plug them in, and then you get BYD mode. So it'll drop out essentially the Teams app that's running. And then you go into your client, just like any BYD device, and then select your mic and camera, and then you use that. But then also you get all the neat symmetry AI, the neat boundary data on there as well. So you still get the great hardware features. But in that third-party meeting, Google Meet, for example, which isn't supported on Teams rooms today.
Apparently that was the platform that all the OpenAI drama went down on. So the board meetings were on Google Meet, which made me laugh. Yeah. Hopefully that gives some people some thought about where the line is drawn and where you might go. BYD is now an option. Do you do it without a license and you deal with it the best you can? Do you add that license and improve the experience, get the reporting, get that improved user experience? Or do you step up to MTR and then your conversation, is it bar? Is it all in one? Or is it unlikely you're jumping a room from BYOD to full on structured craziness? But those are your range of options from a project point of view.
And I think the key thing to a native room is that simplicity. You're not relying on Graham having his laptop. It decides to do a Windows update at the start of the meeting, or blue screens. I haven't seen them that often. But then I can't leave the meeting. I'm going to go and collect my child from school quickly. So I have to transfer the meeting to someone else, unplug. And that's where a native room system in the room trumps anything. It's dedicated to that space. And again, with the Pro Portal, Teams Admin Center, and then the OEM tools, you're monitoring those rooms all the time. You know they're going to or should be working all the time.
Yeah. The monitoring and management is a big deal, isn't it? Like with the MTR level, you're going to know it's working up and running. It's also updated. It's secure. It's everything you want it to be from management.
And actually, it goes back to this term that you hear a lot of the time: is a BYOD room good enough for those rooms that are in? They're not in the headquarters. You don't have visitors coming in. It's let's call it's the logistics warehouse in the north site somewhere. Is a BYOD room good enough for their regular calls? Or as you say, is it quicker just to pop in an all-in-one system? Very simple for them to use there.
Yeah. So let's just finish up with the Board 50, because we've done a quick video on it pre-certification, but it's now certified. So what are some of the uniques about that?
Yeah, certified and Ignite, and actually customers were getting their shipments this week. I think it was the first customer shipment. So unique things about there is, again, smaller from our 65 that we have today down to a 50. New camera in there that's in the same as our frame and the Bar Pro behind me, so it's a next generation hardware.
It's a 15 megapixel, is that right?
Single 50 megapixel in there.
Yeah.
And again, same as our bar microarray, speakers, 5 microarray in there. Again, doing our voice isolation, de-reverberation, echo cancelling, all in the sort of hardware processing side of things. And also, one change we've made from the existing board, we had like 2 inputs, one for content share, one for a second input. We've now made that USB-C for content input or HDMI. And then eventually also the USB-C will also be a single BYOD cable as well, and a laptop charge all on a single cable. And then the HDMI 2, should we say, is now actually output. So again, as I mentioned earlier, you might already have a screen in a room. You can wheel in the board 50 and then connect it to your maybe bigger screen or LED wall in the cafeteria area. You have a big old house. You could have content or people on either screen, for example.
So you can drive the meeting off the 50, but have it blown up to whatever you've got booked in the room or bolted in the room, I should say.
And then probably one of the most exciting things that everyone loves is the new adaptive stand. So being able to have it on a trolley, but also move it up and down. So being able to, if you're sitting down having a meeting, bring it down at table level so you can get great eye line. Or if you walk into the system, you're all huddled around the device, you can lift it up single-handedly, and then use Microsoft Whiteboard on that device as well. So we've got that on the trolley stand, but we've also got it for a wall mount. So if you want to fix it to a wall, but still have that 350 millimeters of travel, you'll be able to have that.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, so you've got like the desk, classic like legs desk mount. You've got the wheels with the adaptive, which is the one I saw that you can, the down one hand thing. But you can wall mount that adaptive stand so you can have the height adjustment. Oh, that's great for accessibility, I guess, then.
Exactly, yeah. So if you don't have a big credenza or a tabletop cabinet in front of the room, and it's close up to, people can then get to it and then bring it down and then start annotating on it. Because again, people like things close to a wall is safe accessibility, so it doesn't get knocked.
Yeah. And your devices can obviously run in multiple different modes. So you could have Zoom on there, you could have Miro on there, you could have other apps on there. So if it's a primarily whiteboarding scenario, it's a really nice use case to have that adaptability as well.
And then that's the plan with our Pulse and our Neat App Hub, is that you'll be able to run either Teams or Zoom or App Hub mode. So you say Miro, Muriel, other apps, etc. on there as well.
Nice, cool. If people want to find out more, Graham, what's the best thing to do?
So they can look at neat.no/board-50, and they can see all about the new board there.
Awesome. Thanks, Graham. Thanks for giving us that insight. Hopefully that's been useful for you on the BYOD versus MTR debate. If you've got any questions or comments for us, drop them below and we'll be sure to engage. There's always a lot of hot thoughts on this topic, so it's an interesting one. Thanks, Graham.
Thanks, Tom.